Oh, today we're gonna talk about Double Bubble, and the reason I'm doing this today is because firstly, Double Bubble has gone popular over the past few months. It has been played in like last season's Overwatch League and has been actually played for like quite a long time. Like even since the first couple seasons when players started playing Winston more, like Double Bubble was played to an extent, but like it has only gone like really popular in the last few months, and like has been like regarded as like one of the strongest comps right now. But it's still like map dependent, so I'll explain that later. Mm, Double Bubble is basically any comp that has these two heroes, Winston and Zarya. Hence the term Double Bubble. Like Winston bubbles and like Zarya also has bubbles. Yeah, obvious. But Double Bubble is really tricky to play. I'll just say that right now because Double Bubble really requires you to the whole team to like play in a certain way that most players are not used to. So I'll go over like playstyle later, but like let's go over like the basic comp right now. So Double Bubble consists of these heroes. Of course, Winston, Zarya. This is like the basic, tank line. Like you can't swap this, otherwise it's not Double Bubble anymore. Like this is important, obviously. So like, how about like DPS? So like, firstly, like most of the time you'll see a Tracer. And why Tracer? The simple answer is a Winston. Like Winston and Tracer have like really good synergy together. Like they're both dive heroes, and like they both have the same objective. Like they want to be they want to use their mobility to like focus like targets past the tanks, like to go around the enemy and just go directly for the enemy backline. And like so like Winston and Tracer, they both have the same objectives, which makes them really like good together. And they're both mobile, they both have escape options, and like they're both like relatively self-sufficient compared to like a lot of other heroes. So Tracer is like a staple of like Double Bubble. Like you almost never see like Double Bubble without Tracer nowadays. But like there are some times where like you might not see Tracer, and I'll cover them later. But like this is like the main pick. Like this is like basically the main pick, and like you rarely flex off of it unless like you're going with like the variations, and even then the variations will change the entire comp a lot. And like what are the flex picks? Like the most common like pick, like other than Tracer, is Ashe. Actually, it's not Echo, it's Ashe. And why Ashe? Because like the thing is that like Echo like is really good. Like yeah, when like she's able to like play to her strengths, like medium sight lines and like follow up with Winston, and also yeah, overall damage. Like Echo is good overall damage, but in exchange, like Echo is just like really fragile. And like even though like there are support picks that make Echo like better against like comps with a lot of like range poke, like Echo really does still have to like close the distance a bit just to get value. And for example, you can't really snipe as Echo, like not like Hanzo or Widow or even Ashe. Like Ashe like works better like in medium to longer sightlines. Like Ashe is kind of like almost a sniper. So like, and also finally like Ashe plays really well into Echo as well. Like Ashe can counter Echo if like Echo doesn't play properly, or like even Echo, if Echo has to peek her like Ashe's sightlines, like Ashe can just counter Echo easily. So yeah, Ashe is like the main flex pick. And I'm not referring to like flex DPS, like those designations, but like more like the most common pick that is like in the second slot other than Tracer. Like flex pick is gonna be Ashe, like usually. And finally, it also has to do with the fact that like Ashe is like people are like more experienced with Ashe than Echo, and Ashe is just more consistent. Like Echo, like if you like mistime your cooldowns or anything, then there's like you either like not get value for like quite a long time, or like more importantly, you die like easily if you like just fly into the wrong area. So like Ashe is just more safer. It's a safer pick. it's more like diveable, so to speak. But like, here's the thing, like, Double Bubble already has like a lot of things to contest dives. Like Winston can, like, contest the enemy Winston or even Ball to an extent. Tracer can, like, mark the enemy Tracer if anyone wants to dive the Ash, or even mark the enemy Echo. So like, there's already like, by playing dive, ironically, like, it prevents like your backline from being dived. And like, that's a concept I'll harp on later, but like, yeah, that's basically why, despite like Ash being more diveable, so to speak. But so what are the other, like, flex picks? So obviously you have Echo, and like Echo is played mainly on maps with like medium to medium sightlines, where like you're able to close the distance easily, and like maps with like a lot of flanks and angles, like they can also be good for Echo, because like Echo can like use her mobility to, like, easily get to like angles, and then use her flight to get back to like their main group if needed, and can also like take advantage of like Brig's healing range if like the team has a Brig. Or it's also really good Mercy pocket, but like Ash Mercy, I think it's better actually, because Ash just like after they nerfed her one shot, I think that Echo pocketed Echo might be equal, like so to speak, but like still Mercy Ash is an incredibly strong combo, and like Mercy Echo, playing Mercy Echo is like not that much better, if even better than like Mercy Ash. So yeah. So what is the other flex pick? Sombra is actually like another common flex pick, and like the thing with Sombra is just that like when you're playing Sombra, like you really have to like Sombra's benefit is that firstly she's really good like maybe against like ball comps that like obviously like Sombra is like really good against ball, like anything with mobility Sombra is good, but like the only drawback is that you lose like a lot of poke, like raw poke damage. So like the enemy can just like stage anywhere if they're running like maybe a traditional dive comp. They can stage really easily. Let's say they're running ball, like maybe Sombra can hack ball, but like if Sombra doesn't land a hack on ball, like people are really good at denying hacks now, then the lack of poke makes it easy for ball to just stage you can have Tracer contest ball, but like the enemy's ball is gonna have like Zen heals, Brig heals maybe, and like yeah, it's gonna be hard to like contest staging if you don't get your hack right. The benefit of playing Sombra though is that in short sightlines Sombra is really, really good. Like if you can like close the distance quickly, then like Sombra will just like destroy. Like you have your Winston jump in, and then Sombra can just look for a hack, and then boom, that target's dead. And also EMP is obviously an incredibly strong ult. It's like the best ult in the game, hands down. Like I mean like Duplicate is meh, I think. Like Bob is good, but like Sombra, EMP, like nothing compares to it. And another flex pick could be that I see is like, well, on some maps actually Widow. And when do you play Widow? So like basically Widow maps, like Gibraltar first, like Junkertown first if you're for some reason playing Double Bubble in Junkertown. What else? Havana first is also, and third as well, could be good. Yeah, so like Widow is good on Widow maps where Ash, it's where the sightlines are even like a bit too long for Ash, or like yeah. And like another like sort of common pick is actually I see like Genji. But here's the thing, like you don't usually see Tracer Genji. Like you usually see like either when you see Genji, you usually see like something like Sombra instead. And with like the Genji, like Genji Sombra used to be like pretty popular, and like the benefit of playing Genji Sombra is just it gives you like 2 win condition ults. Like it gives you Blade, which is powerful, and also gives you EMP. So like Sombra Genji like basically locks your comp to playing a really ultimate base, but like the ultimates by themselves are incredibly powerful. And finally, like another common thing I see, like not really common, but like another like not like esoteric like pick is actually McCree. But like the problem with McCree is that like it gets out like against like heroes like Ash, like the sight McCree has to like close the distance a bit. And also McCree can't take angles, like unlike Echo or Sombra or even Genji, like as much like the Kree buffs like made it like possible to take like slight angles, but they can't take like really deep angles as much as Echo, Sombra, or Genji. And finally, like the stun is nice, but you're not really looking to you most of the time you don't need it. Like having like a Brig, which is like almost a must-have, and like almost like sometimes you don't pick Brig, but like a lot of the time you see Brig, and having a Brig, Ana, and Zarya, and like you see the double bubble backline is already like pretty strong. Like there's no like fragile Zen to protect, and Ana is actually less diveable than you think. Like Brig is just like most of the time enough CC. Like you don't need CC. Like you need something that can actually contest the angles. Like here's the thing. Like a lot of like teams, they pick Kree just to just to like as a defensive pick against like close range heroes and like dive. But like you're playing a dive comp. Like you don't counter like a dive comp with a this isn't like a full dive comp. Double bubble isn't full dive, but like you have dive heroes and you counter dive comps with dive heroes by like actually contesting them while they're still trying to stage. Like you don't want to contest them when they're still engaging, and you don't want to like use cooldowns like defensively, like if possible. Like you want to use cooldowns to actually accomplish something. You don't want to use cooldowns to just like let the enemy have the front foot and like hey, let's hope like my stun goes. So like Kree is like an esoteric pick. Like you want something that is like more offensive than like a defensive pick like Kree. And I know Kree does a lot of damage close range, but it's generally like it's more valuable to have something that can actually deal damage at longer ranges and actually be really useful in the poke phase, or like something that has like really good like close range utility or provides a win condition. Like like raw damage and like a stun is just like kind of not good enough in this current meta. So yeah, so let's go to supports. So like support picks, like they're both like really like kind of flexible, but like generally like you don't see very people switching off Ana. And why Ana? Because like here's the thing, Nano. That's the one reason. Like that's one big reason. Like another benefit of having Ana is just that like Ana is like really good at healing Winston at long ranges, like when Winston is like playing deeper, and also like Winston provides a really good ult battery for Ana. That's why like, and Ana can actually charge Nano so quickly, and it's really effective. And secondly, like Nano Winston is actually, in my opinion, like probably like the strongest or the second strongest at least Nano target in the game. Like I think Nano Blade could be a bit stronger, but like you need the blade like in order for it to be like effective. Like nanoing dry Genji is not that effective, except you're gonna get ult soon. So like Nano Winston is just like so damn powerful. Like Nano Winston to Primal, if your Winston can use Primal, then like it's so effective. Like it causes so much disruption, and you can like best of all, like Winston can actually just jump like past the enemy and like cut off their retreat. So like Winston can actually like you make it so that the enemy can't kite the aggression. Like it's just like such a powerful combo. Like Nano Winston is probably like I take like what I said back. It's the best Nano target in the game, hands down, in general. So what is like the flex pick for Ana? Like sometimes you see Zen, and like with Zen, like the problem is that you're really only going to be playing for like mostly like Zen is really good for like Tracer to take map control. Like for example, going for flanks and contesting those flanks. So it's really good for Tracer, and like if you're running something like Genji or Echo, maybe them. But like the drawback is that firstly no Nano, and like the ult they have is like defensive. And like a defensive ult is nice, but like it's not as powerful as having Nano Winston. But more importantly, like having Zen like it kind of limits like your engagement options, because like a Zen, like generally you don't want to be engaging that early. Like if you have like a win condition ult, like something like EMP, then like Zen could be okay in that type of fight, because like he can do damage, he can do and Discord targets and maybe burst them down. But like generally, like, Zen wants to be playing for, like, long poke phases. That's when, like, Zen gets the most value. And as double bubble, like, you don't always want long poke phases. Like, sometimes you do to, like, build, like, energy or build ults, but, like, not all the time. You have ults, like, you would just want to get into the fight as quickly as possible, basically. So, like, Zen is kind of an esoteric pick. Like, you don't really see it anymore. Like, maybe, like, in the mirror, some teams might prefer it just because, like, in the mirror, like, you can, like, you know, kind of try, like, like in type of mirror comp, you can kind of just, like, you know, poke with, like, Zen and just try to, like, deny their engagement. Like, if you're playing Zen, like, I don't even like it in the mirror, even, because, like, it just makes your backline, it just makes it an easy target for the enemy. And, like, I know that Zen against Ana get benefit in the poke phase, and that, like, you know, Zen actually has poke and Discord take map control, and against, like, you know, a mirror comp that also wants to take map control, it can limit, like, their ability to aggress. But, like, once they do get ultimates, like, they're gonna just kill your Zen. So, yeah. Or even with high energy, they're just gonna, like, melt your Zen in seconds. Like, maybe even Tracer could just one-clip your Zen. Like, Zen just provides a walking target. And Zen is helpful in ball comps because, like, ball comps, like, they want to actually, like, they don't want to, like, engage that quickly. They actually want to just, like, ball comps are just, like, really a poke comp with, like, Ball and Tracer as mobile, like, mobile units. So that, like, you can, like, threaten kills. You can, like, you know, create angle threats and, like, threaten kills on, like, anyone who's separated, or, like, bait out cooldowns. So it's like a more aggressive version of a poke comp, but like Zen, I don't really like in double bubble. So what's another option? Like, you don't really want to play BAP. Like, you know, your team's gonna be, like, kind of separated in double bubble, and, like, your core doesn't really want to be taking too much damage, you know, like, during poke phases. So let's go on to the next pick. So like, what's the most common pick for, like, the second slot, like the main support slot? It's actually Brig. And the reason why Brig, because, like, Brig not only, like, provides, like, protection for the Ana, like, Brig, like, kind of pockets Ana, or if you're playing Zen, really, it's kind of a must-have. Almost a must-have, like, unless, like, your Zen's, like, not under a lot of pressure, or, like, you're playing a comp that you're actually taking map control to prevent your Zen from being dove. But, like, otherwise, like, you need a Brig. You need a Brig with Zen. But with Ana, like, Brig is still good because, like, Brig can, like, pocket Tracer. Brig can pocket Echo if she's on the flank. Brig has a really good, like, almost a win condition ult, really, because Rally is just super strong. It's probably the best, like, support ult in the game. And also, like, and also it has to do with the fact that, like, you know, once the engage happens, Brig can actually provide a lot of value by just swinging at the enemy. Like, yeah. So what's the other, like, tech pick? Mercy. And why Mercy? And Mercy is usually played against, like, brawl comps. Because, like, Mercy just, like, you know, increases the amount of poke damage that, like, Ashe or Echo. Usually Ashe or Echo, you don't really want to play, or Kree, like, maybe Kree, but, like, not with the other picks usually. But, like, Mercy just, like, you know, makes like, this comp really annoying poke-wise, and, like, if you have pocketed Ashe against, like, a brawl comp, then it's gonna make them really hard just to, like, for them to aggress on you, because, like, if you have, like, Ashe on high ground and your core is, like, you know, somewhere on a slight other angle, then, like, if the rush comp wants, like, rush your core, then, like, they have to, like, go through, like, Ashe spam or Echo spam, which is incredibly annoying to deal with. It forces a lot of cooldowns. And, like, if the brawl comp just wants to sit there and force the point, then bam, like, you're just gonna get poked out. Good job, brawl comp. So, like, Mercy is, like, another, like, type of pick. Mercy is, like, a tech pick against, like, you know, from mostly brawl comps. Mercy is also useful, like, when you just want to when you're playing, like, you know, sometimes you don't see, like, Tracer at all. You, like, you know, you don't see any, like, you see it's something like Ashe Echo, or, for example, you see, like, two, like, mainly poke heroes, and in that case, like, it's useful to pick Mercy because when you're playing something like Ashe Echo, you're mainly playing just for poke. like you can still have like the win conditions where you can just hard on engage, but like mainly like when you're playing Ash Echo, you just really want to like poke and use the Winston as like kind of like like a bad something that like creates kill opportunities by just soft engaging and yeah, like just like poke until like they're weak. So like in that case, Mercy is really useful. So I covered like most of the picks, but like the like traditional pick is like Winston, Zarya, Tracer, Ashe, and then like Ana Brig. Like that's the traditional pick. So okay, let's see if there are any questions. Okay, so next slide. Let's go over like the main idea of double bubble. So what do you really want to do as a double bubble team? And the answer is like, so first they have to cover like the playstyle of double bubble. So like comps like in Overwatch, they fall in a spectrum, and like in one end they're like more like consistent comps. That like by consistent I mean like they win by just like making space, putting their backline in good positions, and they just win by like poking and like trading and like being like kind of like a constant nuisance. So like things like comps like Double Shield fall into this category. Double Shield, and the reason is because like Double Shield, like usually like you want to like go maintain the poke phase for like quite a bit. Like you just want to like poke out the enemy before like going in with like Orisa, Fortify or something. So like Double Shield, like you're just really setting up angles so your backline can move up. You're using your shield so your backline can kind of poke and like trade a bit and then set up angles and stuff. So Double Shield is like a really consistent type of comp. But on the other end, you have comps that are like really bursty. And what do I mean by bursty? I mean like generally how in Double Shield like like the back line like just wants to get into a good position and poke, but like the Double Bubble is a comp that falls in the burst category. And what I mean by that is like Double Bubble is either like you get value like you get value mainly by using the windows where like your Winston goes in and engages. And like during those windows, like let's say you bubble Winston and he goes in and he's not looking to dive like early to mid fight. He's just looking to like draw a lot of attention towards him. And like during that 2 to 3 second window, like Double Bubble is incredibly strong. Like incredibly strong in that like it not only like draws so much attention, it forces the enemy to play on the back foot, but like you can do like so many things during that 2 to 3 second window. Like you can like Zarya can actually go in and chase kills, or maybe Tracer or like Echo, like if she's high energy, or like more importantly like Zarya and the rest of the team can like move their backline or core to like a much more aggressive position. So like how with like Rein comps, like you just put a shield and then like you use your shield to allow your team to rotate to better closer position to close the distance. Well, with Double Bubble, like you usually use like your 2 to 3 second window where Winston goes in to like rotate around in like open sight lines and just try to like get to a better position, and like eventually you're gonna close the distance and you're gonna have like all those win conditions, and you can just like you can just close down and kind of kill the enemy. So like Double Bubble like gets a lot of value in the 2 to 3 seconds where Winston like causes a huge distraction in the enemy core. Like Double Bubble is just like it's kind of just like well, you either go big or like you go home. Like and that's probably a bad way to say it. But it's more like you're either really powerful and you want to like push that advantage as much as possible by either going aggressive, like using Winston aggression as a way to go in, or like use it to like reposition to like somewhere better. Use it to move your backline up to like high ground or like somewhere like really aggressive. So Double Bubble is just like really like it just like spikes hard. Like there's like a huge power spike when Winston goes in and you can do stuff. So it's like a really like you either like have Winston go in and you do a lot and you like get a lot of value, or like your Winston is like still like recharging. You're either recharging your cooldowns, you're either waiting for your bubble to come back, and then like you use it to stabilize. So like you're either like aggressing or stabilizing. Like you aren't like in this like middle, like in the middle where like you're kind of aggressive, like you're staring at the enemy, you're doing a lot of poke to them, but like you're not actually like stabilizing, because like you're behind two shields and the shields will just recharge. Like, or maybe you're playing something like BAP that just like stabilizes comps quickly. But like you're on the other hand, like you're not like on double shield comps, like you're not really like, aggressive. Like you have like little way of actually like finishing fights quickly without ultimate. But in like double bubble, like if you have like high energy or ultimates, like you can just finish fights like so damn quickly. It's like even if the enemy has ults, like they can't deal with like so much aggression at the same time. So double bubble has like the highest highs and the lowest lows. That's how I will describe it. Like double bubble is a comp that like when it's really powerful, it's really damn powerful. But when it's weak, like you have to be really careful, because like you're weak, you're really weak. You don't have cooldowns. Like your core can actually kind of be rushed if you're not careful. So like double bubble, that's why it's so hard to play. It's all about maintaining like a good tempo and managing your aggression and knowing when to stabilize. So yeah, let's go over like pre-fight and like early fight, the poke phase. So let's use Anubis as an example. How would you engage on double bubble as Anubis? Let's say against Brawl comp, because like that's what a lot of teams are playing because they don't know any better. Okay, sorry for the naming scheme here. So right here, I'm just gonna use the Echo variant just because like it's. I also just because like Ashe, you're mainly just holding like a long sight line and poking. But Echo is like a bit more involved. And let's say you're playing against like. Let's say you're playing against like Brawl. Like usually, yeah, I have Zarya here, but this should usually be D.Va. So like early fight, what is your objective? So like it's like let's put it this way. So like the power imbalance early, like at the really beginning of the fight is basically this. Brawl is like at the beginning of the fight really powerful, and why? Because Brawl can set up positions, they can set up angles like pre-fight. They also have like a lot of cooldowns. Like all these people have like full cooldowns, and like if you just like like a lot of teams, they make the mistake of just like like hard engaging in. They just have their Winston. Hey, there's a BAP. Let's dive him, and then like oh shit, they have like so many cooldowns. They have Immor. They have like DM. They have Flashbang. They have like Cryo. They have like they have Icicle, or like I don't know what it's called. Like I have Ice Block, and they have sorry for the terminology. They have Maywall. Even that could be useful for cutting off like the rest of the core. And like the problem is that like it's just that like not only do they have cooldowns, but like your backline's not like able to like aggress. And there's a quote by a former Overwatch League coach called John Galt, and he said that, and he puts it this way: like a dive is not like 6 people jumping on one target. A dive is like people doing the dive and like people supporting the dive, and like the most important part is that people have to support the dive. You need to have your teammates like actually involved in like when you actually engage. And I don't even like to call it a dive even, because like calling it dive just makes it like so like calling it dive just makes it so that people just int in and like look for targets without like setting up first or like getting advantage. And like double bubble at the beginning is really weak. Why? Zarya has no energy, and like you have no ultimates. Part of the reason, like in exchange for having like a weaker neutral than like the Brawl comp, then double bubble just has like better ultimates. Like Nano Monkey, I take Nano Monkey and I take like Grav, and I take Nano Monkey, Grav, Rally, and those ultimates over like more cheesy ultimates like High Noon, Window, and stuff. I take over all day. Like those ultimates just make it so easy to get it to like go in and like cause a lot of and draw so much aggression that your backline can just like can just get away with so much. And like most importantly, these ults charge really fast. Nano charges fast. Grav doesn't really charge fast, but if you have high energy, like you can like still like get it pretty. You still can get it if you're really good with your right click, like. And yeah, but like more importantly, Nano charges quickly. Primal also charges quickly, and like Rally, Rally also is kind of charges relatively quickly if you know what you're doing as Brig. But like it's mostly like Nano and Primal that charge really, really, really damn quickly, and like you can use it. Actually, you can use like those ults as a way to like farm your other ults. Like you can use it to farm like DPS ults as well. Like Bomb, if you're playing the Ashe variant, Bob is really good as well. And when like your tanks are in, like that just gives Ashe like 10 to 12 seconds where you, let's say you have a Nano Monkey in like the backline and like let's say you have Ashe, on high ground. Like, are they really gonna look at your Ashe when there's a fucking Nano Monkey all cleaving six of the team? Like, not only is this like powerful, like 6-man cleave plus 50% like damage increase. It's like 540 damage per second. That's fucking insane. Like, imagine if you had Grav that actually guarantees that. Like normally you can just win with Grav, but if you have to, like you could like Nano Grav and actually do like so much damage, and that would charge Primal in like 3 to 4 seconds. Like that's fucking insane. And it's not like they can heal it up because like you have big bursts of damage, but like when Nano Winston is in, like Ashe, like or even Tracer can, like Pulse Bomb isn't that good of an ult, but like Bomb, Duplicate to a lesser extent is like good ults. They're like good ults, so like you can just like go in like you can just like when the Winston goes in, you can just so aggressively just like shoot and get kills and farm your ult. Like double bubbles real strength is like it has to do with like how quickly the ults like charge and like how like you can get so much done with ults. It's insane. And also it has to do with the fact that like double bubble usually has a lot of ways to win, has a lot of win conditions as well, and you can kind of adapt it based on like what the enemy has. So like how do you attack this? And there are actually two main ways of attacking like Anubis, for example. So I'll just go over the first one. The second one is like usually more consistent, but the first one proves my point a bit more. So like you see here, you see your backline, like your backline, Ana, Brig, Zarya, like they like when they're standing in choke, they're not really useful. Like Ana has long range. The Brig can pocket DPS from distance, but like if they're just standing in choke, then you're just gonna get shot by Kree, and like they might even just like go down and rush you. So how do you prevent this? The answer: you use your monkey, you use your engaged. And what does an engage consist of in double bubble? Like, so like you have to differentiate between like two types of engages: soft and like hard engages. So a soft engage is where monkey just goes in, doesn't go for a target, and just tries to like goes in with like both bubbles, preferably both bubbles, and with both bubbles, he just tries like draw as much aggression as possible in like the 2 to 3 seconds where he is legitimately strong, and his bubbles are still here. And then like when his bubbles run out, like he just like perfectly just jumps out, or like can drop to like cover, or like just move, or like drop into cover, or just like disengage in general. But like a soft engage is where you use your monkey engage to just like draw aggression. And like what does this do? What does soft engage do? It farms ultimates, it farms primal, it farms energy for Zarya, but more importantly, it allows your backline, like you can do a lot of things while your team can do like a lot of things while your soft engage is happening. So the first and most obvious one is that like when you're cleaving like 5 or 6, then Tracer can go in and try like burst down a target, and like in the best case, they might even get a kill, but like you shouldn't like really rely on that as a win condition. Instead, like you just need to like force cooldowns, or like force like resources out. So like let's say Winston goes in and Tracer's there to like follow up with the engage and aggress. Like Winston, Tracer blinks in, tries to like one clip bat, but like doesn't kill him, but like at least like he'll I mean, like Winston and Tracer will either get Bap to use Regen Burst, will either force a peel, so will either force like maybe Diva or even Lucio to peel, or like even better, it might even force like Immor out. You're trying to force cooldowns, or just trying to chunk down their HP. So you're just trying to like soften up the enemy team with the soft engage. And but more importantly, like you see this backline. What does your backline do during a soft engage? Well, here's the thing: your backline has to do something during the soft engage. Like unless they're already in the perfect position where they can just like kind of go in and actually like join the engage a bit and before like going out when Winston disengages. But like if the backline's not in the ideal position, then like use your Winston engages, like move the backline up, like move them to a better position. So here's how a fight might go. So let's say your Tracer blinks like maybe right here, and like your Winston is here. So like what do you want to do? And let's say Echo is like poking from here. So like hey, Winston asks for bubble, goes in, and what should the backline do? The backline moves up into a better position, and on Anubis it would be like usually right here, like left side. And then like once your Winston like disengages, your Winston has to drop. Then maybe Ana peeks here to, and like maybe drops like right here. Winston peeks here, like Ana peeks like heal Winston a bit before like Winston tries to like chill a bit, wait for cooldowns a bit. And then like meanwhile the core like are finally in this safer position, and like during the engage, like while the engage was actually happening, then maybe Echo can move and Tracer can move and force cooldowns. And then afterwards you disengage, and like Echo shouldn't be here, but like maybe Echo like goes here, prods a bit, and joins the core just to like get poked from maybe this like there's like a gap in like the ceiling, like the wall here, so you could poke from here. So afterwards, like after Winston disengages, what should they do? Now like Winston wants to like recharge their core, like they just want to be holding angles, like they just want you just want to be holding angles. Like the concern with double bubbles is that like they can actually just like rush your core, and there's nothing they can do about it. Like usually like they don't. You can just like if you can scout out early, you can just kite back, and like doing so well, like and meanwhile that's happening. If they rush your core, and your DPS can take angles and try to like punish them for pushing so aggressively. It's like maybe your Echo could be here. Let's say they try to push left, your Echo can like fly up here and just try to like poke, like maybe force cooldowns, like force them to like not just like press W key into your team, or maybe like Winston can kind of or maybe like Winston can kind of go in with one bubble and just try to like punish and try to go for like try to like threaten a kill so that they can't go in. So like while like double bubble is weak, you do really have to be careful though, and how you like achieve this is just by trying to threaten kills on the back line if they push. So okay, so let's say like they just try to like poke here, and like yeah. So what should you do? Like let's say your Zarya gets bubble, your Winston gets bubble. What should they do now? So second engage. Now that your core is in a better position, now they can actually consider hard engaging in. And like I'll go over like when the win conditions is double bubble. Like generally you hard engage when you have a win condition. Either a win condition or like the enemy is so weak, or you gotta pick that like you can just like it's just like in any other comp, you just engage to finish the fight. Like you already won the fight off kill or the enemy like being really low HP. So like yeah. So you only hard engage, and what do I mean by hard engage? A hard engage is like when you're committed. Like Winston can jump in and does not expect. It's basically like it's all or nothing. Like if you fail your hard engage, then you don't expect to like survive. But like if you do succeed on your hard engage, then like yeah, you win the fight. So like a hard engage not only involves Winston going in and Tracer going in, but like ideally. Or like yeah, in this case Tracer going in, or Echo like playing aggressive, but like ideally your backline should also be like close range as well. Like Ana can like kind of stay like keep a distance. Obviously Ana is not like that good of a brawler obviously, but like a hard engage is where like your backline can just like contribute, and like and then you're just like committed to the fight. So like let's say like in this case like your first engage drew out Immor, and like yeah, like generally like Immor, and like more importantly your Zarya's at like let's say 60 energy, then like you could consider just going in, because like your Winston's going to go in, your Tracer's going to go in, your backline's in a good position. And then like when like Zarya bubbles Winston, like she's at 100 energy. That's insane. And like Winston can go in, like drop bubble, and then like Zarya can just beam down an enemy like quickly to focus. And target focus is really important here. Like that's just a micro thing, but target focus. You all need to be focusing like targets. Like if you just like get people low, then like BAP can just easily just heal them all up. Like in seconds. That's why BAP is OP. Kind of OP, but yeah, like yeah, target focus is really important during a hard engage. So like yeah, you even could consider hard engaging, but like let's say you're like rightfully hesitant because like let's say that you haven't forced out Immor yet, and generally like Winston, like even though like he's a really powerful, like when he engages he can only engage for a limited time, because like once his Zarya bubble breaks, then Winston is just a free target. So like you don't necessarily always have to like hard engage second cycle of cooldowns. Like when I say cycle, I mean both bubbles being popped, not at the same time, but like usually you bubble in Winston first. When the bubble breaks, Winston then pops his own bubble. That's how like cycling cooldowns work in double bubble usually. But let's say you're rightfully hesitant because like let's say no cooldowns are forced in your first engage, so like you could like just go for a soft engage again, this time from a better position, and when your backline's in a better position, this means that your second engage would be stronger, because your backline is able to contribute more to the fight. They can actually maybe even go in, and then like, but they have to disengage early. They can't just feed, otherwise it's just a hard engage. So like let's say you could go in, and then like they force even more cooldowns out. Well, like let's say after that, what do you do? So like after the second engage, here's a great thing. Like you're gonna be close to Nano probably. You might be close to Primal as well, or maybe even Pulse Bomb as a cherry on top. But like you're gonna be close to like key ultimates like Nano and Primal. And even if you don't have Primal, then Nano is a really good way of getting Primal. So maybe Nano only. So like now now let's say Winston like jumps out again, gets healed. Now what do you want to do? Well, like double bubble, once you have ultimates, like you want to look to use them to like hard engage as opportunities, like hard engage. So like now with your third cycle of cooldowns, what do? You wait for bubbles to come back, and then like you can let's say hey, Winston asks for Nano, jumps in, and then like your backline can just move up like for free basically. Even if Zarya's low energy, like let's say Zarya fucked up her bubbles, like Nano Monkey still like provides a way to get like for Zarya to be really aggressive. So like you can just go in with like a Nano Monkey, like. But the thing is, it's important, like, every time Monkey's drawing attention of some sort, the backline and the DPS have to, like, do something about it. They have to use it to their advantage. They have to, like, use their, like, power spike, like, when the comp power spikes to, like, kind of, achieve an objective of some sort, whether that's, like, moving to a better position, or even going in a bit, like, going more aggressive on the enemy to threaten kills, or, like, to punish, like, people who are separated. That's another thing, like, if you see, like, let's say BAP's playing here, then, like, literally, you could, like, just say, screw it, fuck it, we're just going for the BAP and kill, and then force him more. Like, even if you force him more, that's a win in my book. Or, like, you just kill the BAP. You can do that, too, but... yeah, like, in other ways, like, you could just punish separate enemies, but, like, the most important thing is that, like, use your engages as a way to, like, get into, like, either threaten kills, get more aggressive, or move up. Farm ultimates. Or just, like, move up. Like, move to a better position. And then, like, yeah, you finish the fight using that. So a double bubble, like, in summary, like, it's a comp where you just, like... where, like, you take you are weak initially, like, you're a weak early fight, but you use your Winston bubbles to develop an advantage. Both positionally, in terms of ultimates... and I mean both positionally and in terms of ultimates and in terms of like Zarya energy, and then like you engage, and then you hard engage once you have an advantage, because Double bubble, the longer that you leave it unchecked, like the longer that the more it's gonna spike in power, and like it's just gonna like eventually it's gonna be unstoppable once you have their key ultimates online. Now, let's say that like you lost. Let's say your second fight they unfortunately rush you, and like you lose the fight, and you think, hey, I lost all the progress. I lost all my Zarya energy and stuff. I lost my positioning here. Okay, fuck it, let's switch to Brawl. Like, a lot of teams, like, they just never solve problems. They just switch off of them, unfortunately. But, here's the thing, like, even if you botch, like, and engage in, like, a team fight, like, during the poke phase, then the thing with Double Bubble is that, like, you have another way to win, other than, like, having your backline in a good position with high energy, with Zarya having high energy and you're and engage. You can just like use ultimates, and like your ultimates are actually really good at drawing attention as well. And like and also like let's say like your whole team's like still respawning in their grouping, and you have nothing except Nano. Well, like the thing is that like you just use Nano as a way to like go in. Like Nano Monkey is powerful. Like use it. So like you lose the first two, you lose the first fight, but like you still get Nano off of it. What do you do? Well, here's the thing. You can like first use your first cooldowns to like get your core to like an acceptable position. Wait for your cooldowns to reset, and then like fuck it, just use like nano, and then you go in. Or like if you're close to primal, or like you don't want to risk it, let's say like you just want to engage for some, maybe if there's not enough time on the clock, then like you could just like nano your monkey in, and then like use that as an opportunity for your core to like rotate to an actual position. And then let's say the nano ends, but then like you're gonna have primal, and then like you could just use primal to hard engage, and then your core goes in like that. Like the thing is not like Double Bubble, like even if you botch like your neutral fights, like you can just use ultimate to kind of cheat your way out into a team fight win. That's a great thing about Double Bubble. But like more importantly, like in any case, like you have to use either Winston engages or ultimate engages as like a way for your team to go more aggressive. Otherwise, like you can't just have your core like stand here and have Winston do everything. Like even if you have ultimates, even if you have nano, primal, everything like echo ult and like maybe like even pulse bomb, like you can't just like leave like the 3 divers to like finish the fight on their own while the core just pokes from range. Like when your divers are in, when your Winston is in, like drawing so much attention, your backline, your core needs to move up and like join the fight. Like Double Bubble like eventually ends as a brawl. It's kind of like a brawl comp even, and like it's unlike brawl, like regular brawl where you just look to go in regardless, like where like your goal is just to like get in quickly and like skip the poke phase. Well, like even brawl comps, to be fair, like sometimes they do need to like play for poke phases like May Brawl against Doomfist Brawl, but like in generally like regular brawl they just want to like get in as fast as possible. Like they don't want a long poke phase, but Double Bubble actually can benefit from actually long poke phases where like you use like in-game like soft engages to get a positional advantage. So like Double Bubble, like basically all about building an advantage until like you can win the team fight using ultimates or Zarya having high energy. So I went over the win conditions, but I do need to like go over the win conditions like specifically, and because just like clarify. So like, what are the win conditions of Double Bubble? Let's see if there are any questions. So anyways, the win conditions of Double Bubble are like, there are 2 main ones. So firstly, ultimates. Yeah, ults. And Double Bubble is almost all about the ultimates. Okay, sorry for my bad handwriting, but so what ultimates are really like good for winning fights? And like it's not like a single ultimate will win you a fight. It's not like Nano Monkey guarantees a fight win, but like it's just that like it's just that like nano ultimates, like nano, primal to an extent, like but mainly nano, just allow your team to like push up and be so aggressive and like overwhelm the enemy. So like it's not like something that guarantees a win. It's not like a sure win condition, but like it's more like a way of like getting your like skipping like not having to have your monkey like go in multiple times just to get your backline to position. It allows you to kind of like skip like the first part and like just go directly to like trying to kill the enemy. So like instead of thinking of it as like a sure win condition, think of it as a way to like quickly and reliably win fights. So like nano, like when your Winston gets nano, not only is Winston nano really strong on itself, it does like 90 per second to like up to 6 targets, which obviously threatens a lot of kills. And like if you get a good engage with your Tracer, then like, or even Echo, then like yeah, it's gonna be really good because you get kills off of like all the cleave damage that goes in, or at the really least you force out so many cooldowns that like when you disengage, eventually that if you need to disengage, then you can just go in and like just like kill the enemy by normal means, like just by pinching and like, and when I say pinching, I mean like. No, I mean like your backline goes in along with your divers, preferably from 2 at different angles, or more. So that's what I mean by pinching. So like ultimates like Nano allow you to be aggressive. Grav, like why Grav? Because like while Grav is obviously a really powerful ultimate on his own, but like more importantly, Winston is really, really, really good at like exploiting Gravs. I'd say even better than Ryan, like. Because like Winston can bubble himself and bubble any teammates who want to exploit the Grav while the Grav's happening. Like if you're playing something like Ryan, like let's say the enemy has shattered, then like you have to play defensively against the Grav. Like you don't want to be shattered. Like you swing and then you have to bait the shatter. But like if you're playing Winston, you can just shield it off and create a window where like your team can't get shattered, for example, or like they can't just throw cooldowns at you to prevent you from exploiting the Grav. So like. It just has to do with the fact that Winston can shoot and like shield at the same time at close range. That's why like Winston is so powerful like when played properly. It's just that Winston can not only like draw so much aggression, but also like shoot and shield at the same time at close range. So like Nano, Grav, they're like win condition ultimates. Not sure win cons, but something that just allows your team to like that gives your team a clear path to winning the fight. Another win con is Rally. And why Rally? Like you don't normally associate Rally with something that like gets like a 6k or something, like gets a lot of kills, but like it all has to do with the backline. So like when you rally, let's say you're like beginning a fight and you only have Rally. Well, what can you do? Like you just rally, and then like your backline is free to like get so much more aggressive. Your backline, you could be like, hey, Rally, and then like pop the. Yeah, and then like have Winston get a bit of Rally armor and then jump in with Bubble, and then it's gonna be hard to burst down to Winston. Like D.Va like can't really burst down armor, for example, and then like when Winston has to, and then like with so much like sustain provided by Rally, your backline is free to like be really aggressive, or preferably like I don't think you want to use Rally like in this example at the beginning of a fight. Instead, like what you really want to use Rally like. When like for example like your team's already almost close the distance, so like use your first engage to get your backline to a closer position. If they rush you, you could rally early just to save yourself, but you don't want to have that forced out. But like in the second engage, you can just like bubble Winston in and then like break in and literally just brawl. Zarya can just like go in and like have everyone go in. So Rally just provides so much sustain. It allows your team to like take a longer sustained engage and move your backline in up, so that you don't need like high energy or like for example ultimates to like other ultimates to, like draw attention. So yeah, like Rally is like another win condition type of ultimate, and believe it or not, even Primal can be one. But it's important to note this is skill dependent. Why? Because like there are some Winstons who practice a lot of Winston, they're really good at using Primal, and like they can actually use it to like win fights really easily. Like they have the juggling mechanics required to like separate 1 or 2 enemies from their team and just like kill them. But more importantly, like it doesn't have to, it has to do less with like the fact that Primal like juggling and stuff, and more to do with the fact that Primal is just like 1500 HP for Winston. basically, because like up to 1500, because like how Winston should use Primal most of the time is that he shouldn't just use Primal to start a fight. He should use Primal to finish, not finish a fight, but like mid fight to like, you know, prolong his stay in the enemy. So like, let's say you have Primal, what can you do? So like, let's say Winston can go in with the Zarya bubble and then just Primal, and then like in the, you know, the backline moves up. Like, I should call it the core, that's what it's most usually called, but like I want to like, you know, call it a backline just to like emphasize. Like, usually the Zarya is part of the quote-unquote backline in my type of terminology, so that's why, and usually like Zarya doesn't want to be like in the backline forever, so like, but like here's the thing, double bubble, like usually eventually you want your backline to actually like, you know, move in really close, so like, that's why it's usually called a core, like eventually like to prevent like players from like just thinking that like their goal is to just stay in the back. So I'll just call it a core. So like you want your core to like, you know, let's say like you Primal, you want your core to move up, and then like, you know, your and then like once your HP is like 100 200, you Primal, and then like you know, your core can like continue being aggressive. Your core can and then your Tracer can continue to be aggressive because you're still drawing a lot of attention to yourself, and then like it just and it just like, yeah, like provides like so much sustain for you. It allows you to stay in for a long time, allowing your core to like, you know, go in for longer. And I erased all that. I didn't mean to, but like in general, like the main win conditions are anything that really either Graph, which is powerful on its own, like usually you have like, other heroes like maybe Blade or EMP if you have like Genji or Sombra, but like the other win conditions are like things that give the comp like a lot of sustain, that give like the divers or the core a lot of sustain, mainly the Winston in the case of the divers. Like anything that gives like a lot of sustain in the backline, draws a lot of attention, allows like, it all has to do with like any ult that allows the core to like, you know, actively contribute to the fight without like, you know, risking themselves. Like they don't have to like, you know, just cross open sight lines and get shot at. So like anything that provides like a lot of sustain can be used as a win condition, or like, you know, as a really powerful ult on its own like Graph. But like anything that provides sustain is also really powerful in Win Double Bubble because it just allows the core to go so aggressive. So what's the other win condition? And I talked about this, but it's simple. Like against like comps, like let's say like against like maybe a Orisa comp, like if you close the sight lines, then you know you can just like, you know, close the distance and go in because you're better in short sight lines. But let's say you're against like a Brawl comp. A Brawl comp is actually kind of tougher to play than like something like Double Shield. And why? Because they're also good in short sight lines like you, but like unlike you, like they're not good when they have to take long sustained fights where like they have to use a lot of cooldowns. So like basically the second win condition I'm going to describe as this. Zarya has high energy Zarya, and like Zarya can be a carry mid to late fight when she has high energy and has bubbles, or something that is like drawing attention away from her that allows her to go aggressive, and also like the enemy has used significant cooldowns or is weak, or has low HP. So but like you really have to get a feeling for this. Like when can you just hard engage off of Zarya having high energy? But like here's an example. Let's say like you go in like your first time you go in, and like let's say like, you know, they easily bat you out, but Zarya doesn't go in, but Zarya just wants to use this time to rotate, and then like let's say just bat you out, like yeah, because like maybe it's they can just easily focus the Winston there and stuff. And like the first engage usually is just get your backline and maybe get your divers into position. So no big deal if you don't force cooldowns first fight. But let's say that engage gave your Zarya like, you know, your Zarya is now at 30 energy. So now you poke a bit with your Echo, you just try to stabilize, and Zarya may try and like peek and right click a bit. And the second engage, you go... Okay, Echo shouldn't usually be like left side. Second engage, you go in, and since your backline can actually kind of contribute a bit, let's say like Ana like go like peaks a bit and like gets a 2-man nade. Let's say that you force their Immor out. Let's say you force a flashbang out because they're scared that the Winston's just gonna get anyone, or like your Tracer forces out a cooldown because they're diving. So yeah, now and then like afterwards you want to go out if you're not hard engaging. So now let's say your Zarya now has like 60 energy. And like realistically, we have 60 energy. Like next engage, you're gonna get like full energy. So like now you can consider they use like flashbang and flashbang. Let's say they use Immor. Let's say they also use like Ice Block. Now let's actually take advantage of that. And now like you recognize, hey, the enemy's like weak. Now we can just you set up our divers in like good sight lines and good angles. Now we can actually just go in. With Zarya having high energy, we don't have ultimates, but who cares? We just go in, and now like with the Zarya high energy, like you just use your like Zarya having high energy to like finish the fight. And again, target focus is really important. Like if your Zarya can't kill anyone, then it's gonna be really scuffed. Like your hard engage is just gonna fail, or like you're not all focusing like a good targets. Like your target focus is bad, so target focus is really important. But like. Yeah, like if your Zarya has high energy, then you can just go in and like kind of take a more better brawl, because like eventually they're gonna like this type of brawl comp, they don't want their cooldowns forced. And like once the fight goes on long enough, you're gonna be stronger than them because your Zarya's gonna have high energy, and like for example, and like you're gonna use like a lot of cooldowns and stuff, and like. Maybe Orion's shield's gonna be broken and stuff. Like a lot of things are gonna go bad for them once they have long sustained fights. So now let's go over like some of the difficulties of Double Bubble. Like how should you how should you engage if it's like really difficult to like really difficult to just get like a good good engage, because like here's the thing, like Monkey like is best like when he has high ground, so he can just jump to and then like hide a bit, get healed up, and then drop on the enemy and then jump out. But right here, like if they're running like really annoying comp with a lot of CC, then it can be legitimately tough for Monkey to go in. So how do you deal with this? And like on Anubis is a good example. So sometimes like you actually want to like you actually want to kind of use your mobility to like kind of even like force point, and meanwhile like you want to like use your Monkey engage just some like really aggressive positions threatening the point. So what do I mean by that? So in this case, like in Double Bubble, what a lot of teams will do instead of like taking this pinching play where they put their Zarya left side, is like what they'll do is they'll actually like kind of stack together, and the reason is because like if Winston wants to take that high ground like right here, that's only high ground it can drop off of. Like they can't just like try to like avoid like the CC if they're running a really annoying comp, because Winston would have to take this long ass jump path or jump up like across the enemy, which is really easy to poke out. Like they have to stage here, and then the enemy can still poke you out before you have your jump available. So how this will work is that like your Winston goes into the bubble, and then meanwhile instead of moving left, your team moves right. And then like why can't they just rush you? Because they have a Winston in their face. Simple answer. And then like you just use your Winston as kind of like a smoke screen, kind of like smoke grenade, so to speak, to kind of draw attention towards him so that your team can do this rotation safely. And once your team is safely rotated here, your Winston jumps out like somewhere safe where it can get healed, and then like once your team is in like this like right high ground, like you set up your core up here, and then you just try like establish your angles here, like force them to like flip the point and force them to like kind of retake. And then like afterwards, and then you can take angles like, and then like they either clear the angles or like they just walk on point, and then they can just like go in, go out, go in, go out, soften the enemy, and then and then you just drop on them and finish them on the point, and while using your divers to like kind of stall the point. So in this case you're just trying to like flip the map, flip the point, and just try to like take the engage on your own terms. So, but like the most important part is just like Winston. You have to use like your Winston as like a way to like get aggressive rotations. You can't just like all like you have to like engage. Like you can't just like stand here and like hope for ultimates. That's a mistake that a lot of teams do. They just like stand here, get themselves poked out, and wait for ultimates, which means that they can just easily be rushed, honestly. Or like they just like do nothing. They just do this rotation, and then you just get rushed because like nobody's drawing attention. Like they're not like forcing the tempo. Like they're allowing the enemy to just rush them. There's nothing that forces them to like be on the back foot. So yeah, like you just have to like use your Winston to, as like a smoke screen to kind of engage. So to summarize, like Double Bubble is a comp all about like using your Winston as a way for your team to close the distance and build ultimates, and then like using the power spike out of your Zarya or your ultimates, your powerful win conditions like Nano, Rally, Primal to an extent, Grav, like, and then you use it to like just engage and take like a really close fight. So it's kind of like Winston Goats like floats to like an extent where like instead of like diving, you don't really dive with your. You don't really want to like hard dive with Double Bubble. Like that's a huge mistake that a lot of teams make, because I'm just gonna say it, the quality of Winston like teaching and like is really bad. Like all these tutorial videos that just portray Winston as like a hard diver. But more importantly, it just has to do with the fact that like Double Bubble, like the challenge lies in like getting your backline to a position where they can support the engage. So and back in like the Goats days, like it might have been like one of the challenges was like in like Winston Goats, like you have no like Rein Shield to like block damage. Like how do you like close the distance towards the Goats team? Like Zen Goats was like a really pokey type of comp, actually. Like not like a poke comp, but like it's more pokey than you expect for like a really deathball comp. So how do you close the distance? And the answer is that you use your Winston as a way to like draw attention away from your team and allow them to close the distance. And then like afterwards you take a multi like angle engage. And I think there was a and there were teams that really like to ran like Winston Goats as well. Well, and because like it was really resilient to like poke and stuff, but even though it did lose to Rein Goats a lot, but yeah, like the principles, like if you know how like Winston Goats work or floats, then this comp should then like Double Bubble is kind of like floats like annoying little brother, like the 2-2-2 version of floats. Like you're just using your Winston as kind of a way to like close the distance, and then like afterwards you use ultimates to kind of, back in Goats like you didn't have like usually didn't run on a Goats like anyways, but yeah, Goats was pretty ultimate based, but like and then like afterwards like you use ultimates to kind of close fights down, or like you use like a pinch to engage with your Zarya having high energy while you're backline. So like yeah, but like anyways, Double Bubble is all about like just closing the distance and then getting advantage until you can engage. So yeah, it's not about diving like really. Like again, we have dive heroes, so you can go for dives. Like you don't want to be frontlining as Winston, obviously. Like Winston's strength is not like frontlining; it's like drawing attention away from your rest of your team. Like that's why you run a Winston. Like you don't want to be like frontlining, because that would just defeat the whole purpose of running Winston. It's just gonna like draw attention towards your team, draw unnecessary attention. Like you use Winston to draw attention away from your team, so that you can so that your backline and your rest of your team can actually move into positions where you can actually do stuff. So yeah, yeah, that's important. And also, like, the divers, like, they don't want to be frontlining, obviously, Tracer, Echo, they don't want to, like, just frontline as well. So, yeah, it also has to do with the fact that, like, the reason why double bubbles are really unintuitive has to do with the fact that, like, let's see, with the fact that, players are not used enough to playing Splint. Like, you have to play Splint, you have to, like, you have to, like, be really, you have to know how to, like, position, how to get into the best positions, how to use your monkey engage to position. But yeah, like, that's why double is hard. Like, it's, you have to know how to set up for, like, the eventual fight that will happen. So anyways, that's all I have to say for today. Next like stream will be, well, I'll provide some examples. Maybe I'll do another review, but like I'll probably do part 2 soon. But like, anyways, that's all I have to say for today. Peace.